YouTube. Simple Life Prepper here, and today is my first YouTube video, so I am both excited and a little bit nervous. So I am starting my channel so that I can do videos about keeping your life really simple and basic, and also prepping at the same time, because I see these times as being really interesting times and a lot of things are changing. But so we need to be prepared for those things. So I'm not Rambo in the woods girl. I am just a simple girl who wants to be prepared for what the future holds so that I will be able to take care of me and my family. So today's video that we are going to be talking about 10 things that changed in 2020. And so without further ado, we're going to start the video. The first thing that has changed in 2020 is that from now on, you're going to see people out wearing masks. When you go to the store, when you go shopping, when you go to restaurants, although that's really peculiar how you can wear a mask and eat at the same time, but I'm sure we will figure it out. Anyway, I know for me, I went to like the post office and it was like so odd to see everybody in there wearing masks. Now, when I go to the store, which isn't very often, I do see people about half and half wearing masks, but wearing masks is something that I think is going to be around for a while. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, and with most of these things that are in my top 10 list, I think they're going to be things that are going to be around for like the next 18 months to 2 years. So that's kind of like my timeline for all these things. So the second thing that I see that is going to change, that has changed in 2020, is that when you do go places, they're also going to want to check your temperature. They're going to want to check your temperature when you go into the store, and when you go to restaurants, they're going to want to check your temperatures. I think if the kids go back to school, that they're going to want to check their temperatures as they come through the door to make sure they're not running fever. I know some places have already started checking employees. I don't think all have, but I think some have. So I think that's something that's coming down the pike. So I just see, and like with the mask, I don't see that changing anytime soon. I think that's just going to be a new way of life for us for right now, for the next 18 to 2 years, 18 months to 2 years. The third thing that I see is that going hand in hand with the taking of the temperature is that you're going to have to fill out a form when you go to a restaurant, or whenever you go different places, probably not to the grocery store, but when you go to a restaurant, or if you go to a concert, if concerts ever become a thing again, I think you will have to fill out a form to get in, and they'll want all your personal information so that they can get a hold of you if somebody that had been at that concert or that restaurant comes down with being sick. So I think that they will start making you fill out forms. Now, on that note, it might go more to being on an app, which would be a lot simpler, because if you have an app, then you would just get a message saying you were at such and such location and the person there came down with COVID, and so it'll make it a lot easier. I think they're already starting to do that in China, so I sort of see that coming here. I don't know how much pushback people will give them. I don't know how fond I am of everybody knowing where I'm at 24/7. So it'll be interesting to see how far that gets. But just like after 9/11, we gave up a lot of our freedoms then. So I can't say 9/11, but that's okay. The fourth thing that I see coming down the pike is having states that are open and having states that are closed. Now, it's going to be really hard, because I think that you're going to find that you're not going to be able to travel back and forth between states that are open and closed. Now, if 2 states are open, you can probably travel in them. If the states are closed, you can travel in all the closed states, maybe. I don't know. No, because they're closed, right? So no, if you're in a closed state, you can't travel. And if you're in an open state, you can probably travel to other open states. But I don't see you traveling between the open states and the closed states. I just don't see that happening. And I really don't think that the states that are closed and that aren't trying to open, I don't think they'll open. I just don't. I don't think that they're going to open. So I think that they're going to try to keep those states closed for as long as long as there is any kind of sickness going around. I don't think that they will open those states at all. So I just think it will be really interesting to see how that plays out. Number 5 thing that I see is that towns are going to go into lockdown. If there's a hot spot in, let's say, an open state, and they start seeing a spike in cases and everything, then that state will go on lockdown, and they won't be able to travel out of that state, out of that town or location, county, whatever's in lockdown. They won't be able to travel out of that, and they will be locked in there. So you're going to have to be careful about traveling to places, because you could get somewhere and get put into lockdown and not be able to get back home from that place. So I see that coming down the pike, and I don't see that going away. I just don't see that stopping in the next 18 months to 2 years. I really don't. They've already done that with Gallup, New Mexico. They've put it into lockdown. They said that they had a spike at the Indian reservations, and they blocked all the roads and aren't letting people in or out of those locations. So we'll have to see what happens. So the number 6 thing I also see is just in travel in general. I just don't see us traveling and getting back to flying on an airplane. I just don't know that we're going to be flying back and forth like that we were with all the international travel, especially. I know some countries in Europe are already starting to go to the whole having to have a certificate showing that you have immunity and you're not, so they're already going to start enforcing the whole immunity certificate thing, and you're not going to be able to travel if you don't have it. So it's just going to make it really tough to even think about traveling any place. I don't know how cruise lines will get back up and running, because I don't know who would want to take a cruise right now, but I could be wrong. People might want to take a cruise. So, but I think it will be interesting that they won't be able to travel freely. And so I just don't see the airlines getting back on their feet anytime soon also. And I don't see that changing for probably 18 months to 2 years. So the 7th thing that I see coming down the pike is family gatherings in general. And this one makes me really sad. I'm already missing my grandkids already. I haven't been able to see them. I haven't been able to see my parents. I'm afraid to go visit my parents, even though I have been quarantining and staying home. I would hate to think that I would take something to them. So, and then on the other hand, my grandkids, I miss them terribly. They used to stay with me all the time, and I haven't seen them but maybe in the car whenever they've dropped something off. So I miss them. But I don't see that changing. I think that, for the next 18 months to 2 years, we're going to have to be really careful that we don't go by grandma or we don't go by people that are immune compromised and stuff like that. And I don't think that that's going to change much. And I think that's going to be a really sad state of our society, because I think that it's going to kind of damage the family that we have so far. And I think it's just going to be really bad on family gatherings and just keeping the family unit together as a whole. I know there has been good things happening where, because kids are staying home and parents are staying home, that way they've been getting closer. But I think the family unit as a whole, multi-generational, I think that's just going to be really hurt in all this. And I think that that's going to be changed in 2020. The next thing that I see coming down the pike is that businesses that have closed that I can see that a third might not reopen, a half, a quarter. But I think a significant amount of small businesses, especially, are never coming back. I think that you can't expect a business to open and then tell them that they can only have a third of their clientele in the place at the same time. That's just going to make it really tough on them to make a profit. They have to squeeze every bit of revenue out to get a profit. They have to have full capacity to get a profit. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't work so hard if they didn't have to. But, I don't see that a lot of places are going to be able to stay in business for very long. Now, on that note, also, is because I know that they're offering this extra $600, and so you can stay home for longer. I think that that's going to be something that you're really going to have to think seriously about. If you're offered a position to go back to work and you decide to stay at home, I think deciding to stay at home might mean that you won't have a job come August, because there will be so many fewer jobs at that time. Now, on the ninth thing that I see coming down the pike and changing in 2020 is I have serious questions about if schools will reopen in the fall. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think, but schools are just a mega petri dish. Those kids pass everything around, and once the kids get it and pass it around, they take it home to their parents, who take it to their work, who give it to their coworkers, and then I just really think it's going to be hard to social distance at a public school in these days and times and keep this thing in check. So I personally, this is a big one for me, because I just really don't see schools opening back in the fall. And I work at a preschool, so I'm really missing my kids, and I don't like seeing that at all. So I really see things changing in the school system and how we educate our kids. And the 10th thing, this is the biggest one of all, is sports. Now, I know that the NFL has stated that they're going to start their season September the 10th, and that they're going to have 6 games where there's nobody in the stands, and then they're going to incorporate, move back toward having people in the stands. But I don't see that happening. This is a big one for me too. I know that I'm trying to be really careful right now, but I know an instance where somebody's trying to get back to work, and so anytime they go in, they have to be tested. Then they have to be quarantined. Then between the sporting events, they have to stay in quarantine so they don't come down with anything. And then when they go back, they have to be tested. Now, are college football players and pro sports people going to put themselves in quarantine for the whole season just so that they can play football? You have to really think about that. If you're willing to be tested every time you go to work, and how that's all going to work out. And as long as the numbers are up, once you put fans in the stands, that number is going to skyrocket, unless the disease goes away. But those are the things that I see changing this year, in the year of 2020. I want to thank you for viewing my first video on YouTube, and please list any comments below, and just let me know what you think. If you think of another thing that you think has changed, that will change dramatically in 2020, just let me know down in the comments. And please join me for my next video. My next video is going to be concerning making healthy habits in these times so that we can face what's coming ahead. So anyway, I don't like that part. So anyway, till next time. See you later.